Imagine that you are imprisoned in a place that shows no mercy. Every move is calculated, and any mistake could cost you your life. At this exact second, what is happening in our series? Every day there are conflicts of violence and disasters. Who? Maybe he is the one who prefers to stand on his feet, and who get ready, my friend, because you will see the video today is about a prison that is a world. They know nothing about anything other than cruelty and survival. In this prison, you need intelligence, strength of heart, and cunning. So, without further ado, let's start the video. Today, the series begins in prison. The discipline and security are strict. This is Oz at that time. In the prison's holding area, there is a group of prisoners. One of the prisoners stabs another prisoner with a knife in his chest. The name of the stabbed prisoner is Faris. After that, Vice President McMahon goes to the President Leo to introduce him to the prisoners who arrived today. The first inmate is Pitcher. He is a lawyer who was imprisoned because he was drunk and hit a car, causing a fatal accident. The second inmate is Al. Rise and the one who was stabbed means the third prisoner is Groves, and finally the fourth prisoner. Paul and Groves thinks he is imprisoned here because he killed his father. And his mother sat and ate them. Oh, by God. The important thing. The Haritha is currently saying the instructions and the rules for the new prisoners, you know what I mean. Now each of them will have a guide he is a prisoner, but his responsibility is to introduce them to the world. How is it going in prison here until they take you? At this moment, the prisoner Rab is entering. He introduces himself to them and says, I will be the guide. Your Groves is in prison, but Groves refuses. So Rob tries to convince him, but the crazy Groves. He licks his hand, meaning he has agreed. And now Kim has also been assigned as a guide for the prisoner. As for Paul regarding the butcher, he has been assigned. The prisoner Dino has been assigned as a guide for him, and by the way, Dino is sentenced to life due to his horrific crimes. And many of them, by the way, include a crime where he shot a friend of his named Ryan. And I remember this friend because we will need him later on. The overall guides took the new prisoners. They entered the depths of the prison, and from here we notice that the prison Oz is very different from other prisons for the guards, those who are always sitting at the bottom of the prison. The prisoners themselves will be outside the cells, they only bring it in at night, which is important. When Peter entered the hall, he was scared and didn't know. What will he do? So he tries to get closer to Dino. The guide is for him, but Dino told him, I'm not interested. Get away from me, but a piece of advice for you. I'm ready. The weapon. And if anyone tries to get close to you, kill them. Immediately, Sabe walked after a while. Everyone sat down. By the way, Leo, the prison chief, came at that time. He told them that smoking would be prohibited in the prison and everyone will be punished if they are caught smoking. The prisoners have gone crazy and are now starting to throw things. Eating on each other led to fights between the prisoners. In general, after a while, the hour came. 5 and the fights were over, finally, in a guard. The prison requires them to enter the cells to return the prisoners to the house. When he entered his cell, the inmate Simon, the one with him in the cell, is speeding up things from his needs in the house of evil. He tried to talk to him, but Simon grabbed him by the head and said, anything that belongs to you is also mine. At that moment, the guard came and intervened between them and asked them to step out to count the prisoners. He started counting them one by one to ensure that everything was in order. So, at 10 o'clock, the lights went out because it was the prisoners' bedtime. At that time, Simon threatened Peter and said, get ready for what I'm going to do to you tomorrow because you are opposing my words. Of course, Peter was terrified and didn't know what to do. But the next day, Basher went to have breakfast and said to him, Vern is also a prisoner here with him, and said, I'm sad about what Simon did to you, and he stole it for your need, by the way. He also tried to do... When I came here, I went to Macman, and I'll tell him that you want to move again. I'm moving to my cell and we're going to be friends. Indeed, Beach believed it and did that and went to take his needs from his earthquake have been transferred. When Beach went to Vern's cell, the shock remained. Vern's cell said to him, from now on, you are my servant in Sherry's house. He was shocked because he was just trash like the rest of them. As for the 1,000 razors that were stabbed while in detention, if you remember, the story went to the medical wing because he got better. And now the story knows that his wife, who, by the way, is also imprisoned in the women's prison, is pregnant and offered to arrange and prepare for the delivery operation for his wife. But the Freeze refused to take on that responsibility, so the story was upset because I want the Strawberry to take responsibility, so it's up to him. He went to the Strawberry grandfather, who is the second prisoner, and asked he convinces his grandson and takes responsibility for the child. Jay and the Faji Alfaris said to the story, I have seen this fresh one before. But the story he convinced him that he had to go to him, so he listened to him. And now he met the freezer when he saw the grandfather. A pen hit him on the face, I honestly don't know why. Then he said to him, "Do you know who I am?" He replied, "Freeze." He is crying and said to him, "Yes, Grandpa," and hugged him. And he was convinced after a while by everything he said. The prince is born and the prince is with him and happy. Very happy with his son and also with the pictures. And now he is sitting. He shows this picture when he was happy and told him, "I will literally do anything for my son to the extent that I might sacrifice my life for him, but unfortunately after days of this happiness, the prince went to the palace and he was very sad and told him, "I think I have reached the peak of my happiness because I found out that the child has liver disease and is sick, and he could die at any moment. Please pray for the child, who I don't know what I will do if he dies." And he went to cry. As a form of punishment, he faces himself like this. He might atone for his sins that he believes are. Now it reflects on his son, and unfortunately, the next day, the freezer went to the medical wing where his son is being treated, and as soon as he arrived, he broke down crying. It's hard for him and his wife, especially when their son is dying in a sad scene on the other side. The president had gathered the guards and informed them that the criminal, Karim Saeed, would arrive at the prison today, and this is a big problem, because he could be a ticking time bomb because he sees himself as a political prisoner and has many followers. So everyone started to prepare and get ready. In general, Karim arrived at the prison shortly after and is currently sitting with Leo, and now Karim got into a fight with them and told them that 78% of the prisoners here are black, and this is racism, and the statistics say that there is one guard for every 9 prisoners. So basically, I can easily take over this entire prison at any time, and I'm telling you from today, I will be the one running Oz prison. This statement angered Leo, so he asked the guards to. They descend to the prison base, and the lesson here is that as soon as Karim literally arrived, he caught the attention of everyone in the prison and began to gather his followers, telling them that there are no drugs or alcohol. We will drink from now on because it is forbidden, by the way. Karim is a Muslim. And while he was talking to them, a call came into them in a room, and he went to sit with Dino and said to him, "Tell the boss Nino that we need to unite to get rid of this person." So Nino cursed him and told him, "Go tell him yourself. Besides, Simon is now." Now his friends came and caused trouble and fought with Karim and his followers, and by the way, he was the leader, Simon. Karim was about to hit, and the strange thing is that Karim did not. He only let one of his followers hit him. He hit hard until he bled, and Millie heard it now and came. She shouted, and of course, everyone was. Surprised Karim and Dino, and by the way, he was also. Surprised by what Karim was doing and looked at him like that. And he walked away, and when he left, he went to the prison leader and sang. At that time, by the way, Nino recognized him. That Ra'an was his friend who stabbed him before. Just like. I told this talk drives everyone crazy that this talk is not. They didn't get it, and now they are sitting there knocking with their spoons until he has a penny, and what he can't finish his words and walks away. And it's not just that. They are now sitting and celebrating what happened to Karim. Groves became very fond of Karim and went to tell him. After eating, he really liked the movement of the spoons. He walked quietly and then went to Freeze and said to him, "He will be very close to him, meaning he is the president." "The prison because he deserves death," said Alfreeze. He was surprised and said to him, "You are depressed, but I mean, go." Dr. Ted has something for depression. The risk of surpassing what you are in has worked with me. By the way, especially after my son Groves died. Of course, he refused this, and the next day in the wing. But another officer protected him from being killed by Leo. One took the stab in his place and died, and because of that it was done. Groves' trial, and he was sentenced to the second. After the execution, Leo went to him and asked, "Do you want he chooses to die in any way possible?" He was shot in general after that, Leo Baker. As for Officer Smith, who died in his place, he goes. This is Smith's mother, who asked him to allow her to see. Groves, whose son was executed if he wasn't. Honestly, she doesn't understand why she wants to see Groves, but he agreed. And now she went to Groves. And she told him while crying, "I want to read you, but I don't. Know that you are my relative, and I love you and forgive you with all my heart." When Groves heard this, he kept crying, hard, and felt regret, even though he didn't mean to. Her son is killed, and he wanted to kill him, and it just passes. Days passed, and we come to the day when Groves will be executed. At that time, Jeffs was sitting eating his meal, his last meal, and he asked the priest to write a letter, and to deliver it to Mrs. Smith, Maybe she would be happy. And then just after that. They took Groves now to the execution room and tied him to the chair and put a paper on his heart so that, the guards aimed at him and he is executed. And then he takes a bullet in his heart and dies. The important thing is that after a few days, we find that Kareem has gathered his group, and they find out that today, with the coup returning, he is not alone. The boss Rice had gathered his men and introduced them like this. At the same moment, a big fight broke out between two prisoners, and of course, all of this is just a plan, so that the guards would intervene as soon as. When the guards entered, the prisoners left each other and started hitting. The guards, and literally anyone who sees a guard from the guards, they are grabbing him. I like that the chaos has become everywhere. The prisoners are now grabbing the guards and coming down on them with blows. Not to mention that they started breaking everything in. The prison is not just that. They also locked the gates with washing machines and desks so that no one from the forces can enter the hall in the midst of the chaos that is happening. Kareem came out with his gun and fired a shot to get the attention of the prisoners and told them to let's wait for a reaction from Leo. After a while, Leo arrived with the forces and asked them if anyone among them could talk to him, and everyone called now for Kareem. Kareem went to talk to him as the leader of this coup, and they agreed. They both have a few demands like that, so Leo Kareem gathered the older inmates, the prison represented by Faris, Simon, and Scott and Rayan, to discuss their demands before they submit them to Leo. At that time, Kareem told them that they wanted to establish a council among themselves, but everyone was afraid of him because he was the only one in the prison who had a weapon. Kareem noticed that he scared everyone, so he suggested something. He proposed that each of them take care of one task, but Ryan was nominated to be the negotiator with Leo, and Scott distributes the food and Simon takes care of anything. Inside and outside of prison, as for the prisoner, his men care about the guards, this suggestion. Everyone was amazed and started to warm up now to their requests later. There is a prisoner. His name is August, and he noticed that his friend is injured. He suffered a serious injury and quickly asked another prisoner named Jackson is helping him, and Jackson knows how to play football. He is famous for the world coming down on him and getting imprisoned. What's important, they took the injured prisoner to Ryan. Simon and Scott asked them to they took the injured person out to save him. At first, they were refusing, but Ryan told them, if the three of us unite, Kareem will just be a follower of ours at that moment. Everyone agreed. They took them out and opened the gate for Jackson, who took the injured person and went outside. Of course, as soon as he went out, he was arrested by the forces outside on the other side. El Freese was concerned about the injured who were severely hurt and noticed that 2 of them would die if they didn't go to the medical wing. So he went to Kareem and introduced him like this, and Kareem said, let's gather the rest so we can hold a vote. We know whether we will tell them outside or not. There is no reason to do so. By the way, Simon was in front of them. Workers are using a lot of drugs, not to mention that it happened. A big fight between Scott's men and Simon's men, but Ryan intervened and ended the conversation. The During of the Fries said to them 2 of the guards are injured and need to be taken out. From here, or they will die, Kareem and I decided to vote. What will you vote for when they transfer them outside? The 3 refused, so Freeze left them and walked away. He then tried to act and brought a first aid kit. He went to the injured and started helping them himself. On the other side, Leo was gathered with President James, who was very angry. He informed them that he would call the National Guard to deal with the coup and the riots. While they were talking, they received a call from the prison. Kareem requested food in this call, and of course, James refused. But McMahon told them this is an opportunity to give them food in exchange. The hostage they have, and based on that, he will take. Now the food is being brought in by the prisoners themselves, and then he goes to the hostages to check on them. After that, he spoke with the seniors and offered them to release the injured hostages in exchange for him staying in their place. Of course, at first, everyone refused, but Kareem convinced them to agree. And indeed, the 2 injured were released and handed over to the forces outside. Ryan also, by the way, handed over the paper that contained the demands they had agreed upon. The lesson here is that the requests, when they reached Leo recognized them. James rejected all of it and told him we will solve it. This coup is by force and we will not implement any request in. Overall, on the other hand, Ryan talked to. Kareem and they found out that the problems are increasing among his men. Scott and his men, the Freeze, and they also found out that the heroin is finished and Simon went crazy with his men. Of course, Kareem did not respond to him and was walking, but Ryan tried to pull him, so one of Kareem's group pushed him and he fell to the ground, so Beecher grabbed the one who pushed Ryan and choked him. And there was going to be a big fight, but Ryan turned around. Quickly after that, Simon completely lost it and ordered his men to beat up anyone who stood in their way while they were searching for drugs and things. By the way, my friend started to lose control because of Simon, so Kareem acted and pointed the gun at him until Simon started crying and said, "Kill me." Kareem tied him and his men up quietly, and shortly after that, the lights went out in the entire prison. And thus Kareem and the others went out to the hall because they knew that the forces were on their way to attack. And indeed, the forces are currently they have gas bombs and destroy the door, and they are protecting the prison. And we honestly don't know what will happen next, what happened after that. Because this season, my friend, is over. But we will know everything in the next season. So who do you think will take over the prison? The forces or Kareem and the other big guys? We will find out in the second part and more in the next video. And that's it. Goodbye.